Okay, in this video, I'm gonna talk about users in Django. We have users built in Django framework, so whenever you install new instance of the Django, you will have users already built in, and you can use it the way you like, but it's kind of limited, and I will show you in this video how we can actually leverage whatever it's built in Django and create on top of that our own user. And for that we'll use an extra model and we'll extend it, and I will show you how we can do that and what kind of problems we'll have with that. So first, before we'll jump into the code, I have just a skeleton Django here. That's a bare bone Django. There's nothing there. There's a Django REST framework installed on it, and I just run the server. So if I will go to the admin, I have a super user created, and then we have groups and users. This is what Django comes with, and if you click on the users, you can see you have a user already there. That's what I have done with create super user command, and that user already exists in our database. So I have a username, I have a password, I have first name, last name, email address, and so on. So that's already, but it's kind of limited because I have few fields here. But what if I would like to use my own fields? I would like to have a picture, I would like to have a bio, age, or whatever I would like to store for a login user. So this is already something that I can use, but it's not enough for most of the cases. And I will show you how we can actually create our own model and link it to the built-in user. First thing what I want to say is the built-in user in Django comes with a very handy features like authentication and authorization. So we would like to leverage whatever it's there and still authenticate and authorize our users using this model, but we also would like to link it to our own model, and I will show you how to do that. So first thing what we can do is we need to jump to our code here, and what I have here in the models is just empty. So what I will do is I will create a new model, and let's call it person, and then we do models and we'll import the model. So we will have a new model, and the first thing what we need to do is we need to link it. That's our own model, and we can put any fields we like in this model, but we also need to link it to the built-in user, and the way we will link it is we'll use a one-to-one field. So I will do models one-to-one field, and then first thing we need to specify is a model that I would like to link to. So I will link to the user, but I don't have that user yet, so I need to import that from the Django framework. So I will do Django contrib out, like authentication models, and then we have a user here. So basically this is the user that is in the Django framework, and I will link it here. So I will have one-to-one field in between my person model and the user in Django. So whenever I create one user, I will also create one person, and I will always have one-to-one. So there is no way that I can have more than one person per user. Okay, so I have that. I can put it on delete, and then I can do models, cascade. I don't need parentheses, and then I can add related name person here. Okay, so we have our link, and I will show you how it works later on. And let's add some extra information. So at this point you can add here whatever you like. Whatever you need to store for your users, you need to put it here on that model. So I'll put, for example, age, and that's going to be models, and then I can say it's a positive integer or positive small integer field. I don't need to provide any extra info here, and then let's say I will store bio for that person, and then it will be char field, and let's say max length will be 256. it doesn't really matter at this point. So we have, that's what it is important here. That's our link to built-in user, and this is extra information we'd like to store it for our person. So we have that already. And the next thing what we'll need to do is we'll need to create a serializer. So I will create a new file here in the API. So what I have here is this is my project, and this is my application here. I just name my project tutorial, and application in that project is API. So I will create a new file, and I will call it serializers PI. And in the serializers, what I will need to do is I will need to have two serializers. First, I will need to have a serializer for a person and another serializer for a user. So let's create a serializer for a person first. So I will do class, and then I will do person, serializer, and then I also will need to import. So from REST framework, import serializers, and then I can do serializers here, and then that's going to be my model serializer. And in here, what I need to do is I will do class meta, and in here I can say, okay, I will use my model person. I will also need to import it. So from models, import person. So this is my model, and then I can use my field. So I will have a tuple of fields. First is age, and the second one I have added was a bio. So this is what I have for a person serializer. So basically, whenever I have a serializer, whenever I have a person, I can use this serializer for this model. The second serializer I will need to have is a user serializer. So I will do user, and then serializer, and then I will do the same thing as I've done before. So model serializer, and then also I will do class meta, and I will use model user. I'll also need to import the same user from Django framework as I did in the models. So I'll put it here. So I have my model here, and then I can do fields. And here I can use any fields that are built in a model in Django. So I have ID, I have username, I have password, and then I have my person, like this. So basically that person, I can serialize it here. So basically this will be my link from user to the person, but I don't want to see the person ID. What I would like to have is I would like to have a embedded object inside my serializer. I'll show you that later on when we'll actually test it. So how does it look like? So basically what I will do is I will create a new variable here, person, and I can serialize that person. So basically that person will be here, and that will be embedded object inside my user object. So and for that I can use the person serializer here. So I have my person, and then I have the some fields. What I need to do is I need to stop my server. Actually, I need to. What I need to do is I need to make migration. My model has been created, and then I can migrate. And this is migrated already. What I can do also inside the admin, I can register admin site register, and I can register new model. So I need to import that first. So from models import person, and that person I can register in admin. So that means I can actually go to the admin here, and if I will jump to the home, I have my persons here. So I can create a person from here. So if I'll go like add new person, then I can pick user, which one I would like to create a person for. So let's say Christian, age, let's say this one, something about me. So I could save this here, and I have a person linked to my user. So if I go here, you can see this is clearly linked to my user. So I have way to log into the Django with that user, and I also have some extra information about this. Okay, let's switch to Postman to test our API. How does it work now? So if I'll go to the Postman here, what I need to do is I need to actually fetch my local host, so this one here, and /users. I would like to see all the users I have in the database. So if I will send it like this, and then I have users, I haven't actually registered the URL yet. So what I need to do is I need to come back here, and then in the URLs I can remove those, and I can register a new path here. So basically what I need to do is I need to create a new router, and I will import that here. So from REST framework import routers, and then I can use it here as a default router. So I have this, and into my router what I can do is I can register my models. So I will register users here, and also I will need to have a view set. So let's jump into the views here, and I don't have a view any views here, so I will need to create a new view set. Then I will create one for user. So I will do user view set, and then view sets, I need to import that first. So from REST framework import view set, and that view set I can use it here, model view set. So we need to set up two things here, and we'll do query set, and I will use user. Also I will need to import that user, so the same as I've done before, from Django contrib authentication models import user, and that user I can do objects all. So we'll select all users from the database, and then I can do serializer class, and in the serializer we have that user serializer. So what I can do inside the views, I can just use it. Of course I will need to also import it, so from serializers import that user serializer, and then we have a view set that I can actually use. So I will copy that, I will go back to the URLs, and then I will import it. So from API, which is the name of the project here, and then views, I will import user view set, and that user view set I can use it here in the router. So once I have my router, of course you can add more models into your router. At the moment I have only one, so I have that, and I also need to include it in the path. So I'll create a new path, and here I can just make it empty, and then I can include, actually I need to import include as well. So from Django conf URLs import include. So we have that include available for us to use, and then I can include router URLs. That's it. I have that. My server is up and running. So if I'll go back to the Postman and I will send it once again, then I have that available for me. So there's a few things that are happening here, and I can explain you what is here. So basically what we are doing here is we are fetching users from our database, and that's built in a user. So what we've done here is I will go through that once again. So we create one more model, and that's our own model. So this has nothing to do with a built-in Django user. But what we did here is we fetch the users. So basically, in our Django, we have in the views, we've created a view set for the user, built-in user model. So we have a view set. That means we can actually get the data from our database and we can use it. For this thing, we use user serializer. So for the serializer, we have user serializer. We told Django that we'd like to use that user from Django to serialize it, and we'd like to see ID, username, password, and the person. The person is not just a simple field. Person, in fact, is another serializer. So this will be embedded inside. So if you will take a look at here, what we have is we have that ID, username, password, and person. That's what we specified here in this 4 fields here. But the person is another object because it is another serializer. So we have age and bio. So this is what is coming actually from here. So as you can see, you can extend it the way you like. So we have all that fields that are available for the user, and we also have our own. And one is inside another using the serializer. So our model is kind of linked already because we've created one person for the super user that I had created before. Okay, that's fine, but if you take a look at that's not really a nice way to expose the data. First thing first, the password. This is hashed password, but it shouldn't be really there. So you should not expose any password in your API. That's a bad practice because that's a serious security risk. So what we can do is we could remove the password from here, but we need to have a password, maybe not for a get, but we need to have it for a post and put method. So what we can do actually here is we can add extra quarks. So for this, we can do extra quarks. And then we can specify, so I will open a new project and I can open a new object and I can do password. And I can specify. So I will specify a few attributes here. I will do write only, true. What I can also do is required, true. So basically I add extra quarks into it. I said password, the field password that I'm using here, it's write only. So whatever I write to database, whatever I save something on database, I will use that field, otherwise I won't. And then also it is required whenever I will try to create a new record. So if I have that and the server refreshed, if I will fetch it once again, you can see the password is gone. It doesn't mean that it's not used. It is used only for different methods. So this is method get. So we are not going to see it here because it's write only field. That is important to have it in the serializer, but not necessary to be exposed in a get method. So this is already kind of working. So we have ID, we have username, we have person. We can add extra things like a first name, last name, whatever is available, and also other fields on the person. So this is how we would like to have it, and this is already working. But what about if we'll create a new user in our database? If we have API, we also would like to allow users to come to our system and being able to register. So if we'd like to have that username and password use and leverage whatever is in the Django, that's fine. And we can also add some extra information here. So how we can do that? If I will post now a new user, what I can do is I can go to the body, and then I can put some raw data. That means raw data, I can just, I can put it here as JSON. And then inside here, I can specify, okay, I would like to have username, let's say I will have another one, Christian 2, and what I can do is I can say password, let's say Christian 2. So what happens if I will create a new user? Normally you can create a user with username and password, and that should be safe. So I will test it with our API. If I will send it now, you can see here person field is required. So that's actually very good, because we would like to extend it. It's one-to-one. That means we need to have a person for our user. So as you can see here, we already have that kind of functionality built in. So we need to provide a person. So I will do person here, and this is what you will need to usually do on your front end. You will form an object, JSON type, with a person embedded inside here, and then you will pass some extra information. So what's in the person? We had age, and let's say age will be, I don't know, 12, and let's test it now. And then we have bio is missing. Okay, so that is kind of working fine. The validation is there. So we have bio, and let's say new person here. So we have everything, and now specified in our JSON, we can push it to the users. As you can see, we are using users, not the person. So this is built in Django endpoint. So I will send it again. And then we have create method does not support variable nestable fields by default. So what we have here is we have a user serializer, but it's not really prepared to do this, to save that person for us. So what we need to do is we need to go to the serializer here. And then what we can do is we can write our own method for creating, for saving a new user. So what we do is we'll do override create, and then we can do it on our own. First we'll do person data. So this is what we will get from the validated data, and it's coming from, I will do pop method, and it's coming from person. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to gather so whenever we send the information like this, we send it here, we'll have all that sent to our Django. So username, password, and person. Person, that's another object inside here. So I will just grab it and collect it from the validated data. So this is what is sent. I will just get the person out of it, and I will save it in the variable person data. So this is available for me, and now I will do a user. So what I can do is I can save a user. So I will do user objects, and then I will do create. You can see here it is already showing me a hint that I can have a create user. That's a special method for a user. Normally in the model you will have create like this. And then you can create it with, I will do with validated data. So we have the validated data and we'll create it. I'll show you why I'm doing the create a user method in a second. So I have that one here. So I will do user, and then I will attach a person to it. So I will do person, and then I will do person, and I will create objects, create. And then what I can do is I will attach a user is my user, and also I will do all the data from person data. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do two objects at the same time. So I will do save it, and we have it here. At the end I can do return user. So what I've done here, I collect the data from the send data to the endpoint. Well, I'm overwriting the create method on the user that is built in Django. I get the person data. I will create a new object, a user object from the data I'm passing, which is username and password. and then I attach a person to that user with in the same line I just create that person. So I create that person, I link the user to that person, I use the person data, which is whatever it is sent from here. This is used here, and then we save the user. So this is the method to do. If I will go back here and let's try to do it again. And now we have a new user. So I have a new user, Christian2. I have an age, I have a bio, and everything it's there. So let's go back to the home, to the users, and I have my user here. Very good, that's actually working. So I open it here, and you can see here one problem: invalid password format or unknown hashing algorithm. So what does it mean actually? It has been created, but we pass the username password as a string. And in order to Django to handle this as a proper password, we need to do a few things. So before I will jump back to it, I will go to the home and validate that we actually have another person here. And you can see here, I have all the data saved in. So our new serializer method is actually working. So I have create. This is working fine. And the way it is not working for the password properly is that method. So that method create is not really prepared to handle the passwords in the way we want to have it. So we would like to use that create user built-in method, and that will handle the password for us. But for hashing the password, like whatever we pass password like a string, we don't want to save that string on our database. What we want to do is we want to hash it. So Django has that option and it will do it for us, but we'll need to tell Django what kind of hashing algorithm it needs to use to save that password in the database, hashed password. So if we go back here and I'm on the page like Django docs, and this is authentication passwords and password management in Django. And in here you will find a password hashers. It's up to you which one you would like to use. And basically if you grab all of them from Django documentation, and if you put it in the settings here, anywhere on the page, they will be used from top to the bottom. So the first one will be used to hash the password. So at the moment I'm doing PBKDF2 password hasher, but you can use any one. So if you'd like to use this one, you can put it on the top and that one will be used. I'm fine with the first one and I will use it like this. So let's try to create a new user. Let's say 3, and then I will do 13 here one more time. So I will create a new user here with a new method. As you remember, we've changed our method here for create user. Before we had just create. And if I will run it here, we have Christian3. Everything has been saved. We have another user in the database. So let's come back to our admin. I will go home and check if the user is there. Okay, user is here. And actually here, you don't have that error anymore. You can see it has been hashed. So you can see here the beginning of this, it's actually the hashing algorithm I just picked from my settings. So this is already a working example of creating a user, and we have that user in our database. And for that user, we can go here and then go person. And that person has, that user also has a person, as you can see here, it is linked, and then we have the age and bio, that all the information we passed it. So at this point, we have a fully working example of an extended model that is linked with a user. So we can actually use whatever it comes from Django, like a user model, and we can see send here, and we can see all the users with all the extra info here. So we have a way to save it, and we also have a way to retrieve that data. So this is a working example how we can do that.